My name is Sarah. Welcome to the It is a Sarah podcast. Today it is Monday, January 13, 2025. And in this episode I want to share my handwerk perikelen. That's a Dutch word for crafty adventures from the last weeks with you. I'm coming to you from the Netherlands, so excuse my Dutchy English. I love to knit, I love to crochet and I love to talk, so that's the perfect combination for making this podcast. I make my episodes in Dutch and in English, so be sure you pick the right one. So, it's been a while. My last episode was half of December, almost 1 month ago, I guess. I did plan a holiday, a Christmas holiday. Everybody was at home during 2 weeks and I decided not to make any episodes because I don't really like making episodes when everybody's around me. But I was also caught by the flu on Christmas Day. And it took me a while to feel better. I was only feeling really ill for a few days with fever, but the recovery took some time, and last Monday I did plan to make episodes, but I was coughing and my energy was so low. I decided it would be better for me to knit all day instead of making episodes. So 1 week later, and I have a lot to share with you. I don't know if it will fit all in one episode. Yes, I do know it won't. So I think today the focus will be on some finished objects. We shall see. I just start and we shall see where we will end. I want to start with a finished object, what I'm wearing, and it is one which makes me very happy. If you are watching my episodes for a longer time, you have seen this cardigan growing. And it is all done right now. It is the Syli Cardigan, a pattern by Leeni, and I will share the story of this cardigan again. A few years ago I received a bunch of beautiful yarn from a lovely person, and it was the yarn from her mother, and she sadly passed away, and the person who gave it to me, she is not a knitter herself, and she wanted to give the yarn to someone who would appreciate it, and she thought of me. So I got a lot of yarn, and it was very special yarn with a special story, and I don't know if you recognize it, but when you have special yarn in your stash, it can take a while before you are actually knitting with it, because it's special yarn, you want to make something special of it. So I already casted on a sweater once, but it was not the right project for this yarn, so it was laying in my stash for quite a while. And I think at the end of summer, maybe August, September, I don't know exactly, I can't remember when I casted it on, but at the end of summer I decided I want to make a cardigan of it. I was inspired by watching a podcast of Leah from Stitchcraft. She was knitting a cardigan. It was her no frills cardigan, and she made it all black and very long. And the reason I was inspired by that cardigan was because it was a top-down cardigan, open-fronted, and with directly knitted button band. How do you call it when a button band has no buttons? A no button band, I guess. For me it was very important to use such a pattern because I had this bunch of yarn, big skeins. I thought it was a worsted weight, but I was not sure, and I couldn't buy extra yarn when I would run out of yarn. So it was, and I wanted to make, it was quite a lot of yarn, so I wanted to make a longer cardigan, but I didn't want to run out of yarn by picking up the button band at the end. The no frills cardigan is a pattern for a DK weight yarn, and I assumed this was worsted weight yarn. So I wasn't sure what to do with it. I was thinking of making the smallest size, but the cardigan already was quite oversized, and I was a little bit afraid that it would be only more oversized, even if I knitted a smaller size, but because the yarn was a little bit thicker, and I wasn't sure if I would love that. I am not really an oversized garment person. I love the look of it on a lot of people, but not on myself. So I like more fitted garments. So I was searching on Ravelry, and at the end, finally I found a pattern that suited my wishes. It was the Syli Cardigan from Leeni. The same top-down construction. I think I don't own the pattern of the no frills cardigan, but I'm quite sure it is the same construction. The only difference was that the Syli Cardigan is for a worsted weight yarn, and also it was not a stockinette cardigan, it was a broken rib stitch cardigan. I really love the broken rib stitch. I love the look of it, and I also love knitting it. Broken rib stitch is one row you knit rib stitch, knit one purl one, and the row back you knit the purl stitch only. Or let me see, do you purl it or you knit it? I think you knit it. And it gives a lovely structured stitch. But because this yarn, there was already happening a lot color wise, and also adding a structure to it, it would be too much. So I decided to use the pattern but skip the broken rib stitch and just knit stockinette. And I'm very glad with that. The construction is very easy and clever. You start knitting with a little tap at your back neck, and then you pick up stitches, and you started increasing by the raglan stitch, and you... Can you see the raglan? And you knit the no button band directly. This is a knit one, purl one, no button band, and yeah, it's really an easy knitting project. And because it's so easy, it's also a bit boring, and that was the reason why it took me quite a while to finish it. And that was not a problem. I had no deadline for this cardigan, but it is very nice to have a boring project on your needles, so you can pick it up and knit on it whenever you feel the need. So sometimes you need boring projects in your life, and boring sounds a bit negative. Maybe I need to say easy projects. There are some times when you are having a busy time, or just a chatty time, or whatever, that it's nice to have something you can just knit back and forth without thinking too much, without counting, without paying attention too much, just knit. And it was very nice to have that project on my needles, especially in a time when I was busy with organizing the Knit to Purl to festival. I had no brain space for complicated, challenging knit or crochet projects, so this was the perfect project. But it was also a boring project, so I couldn't work on it for hours and hours, just every now and then it grows slow, but it will be finished one day. And it was finished on a special day. It was finished on Christmas Day, on Christmas morning actually. I woke up not feeling well, and I was casting off, binding off the last stitches, and a few hours later I crashed because fever kicked in. And I lived in this cardigan. It wasn't blocked, but I really needed that warm woolly layer. When you are having a fever, your temperature is really, sometimes it's very high and then it drops, and you can feel very cold, and then you are overheated. Woolly garments, and really good woolly garments, are very regulating, temperature regulating, and especially when you are having a fever, it is what you need. So I lived in this cardigan for, I think, a week. I did wear it 24 hours. So yeah, when I was overheated, of course I put it off, but I slept in it. I was coughing a lot, and because I was coughing, I love to have some extra pillows under my head, so I wasn't horizontal but a little bit uplifted, but I couldn't put all the blankets over my body in the bed, so I wrapped myself in this cardigan to keep my upper part of the body also warm. And yeah, it was just so nice. Normally I allow myself to wear a knit, to start wearing a knit when it's blocked. I never wear it unblocked, but because there must be knitted an extra item, I will... Oh, it's it's still here, the belt. I will tell you more about that in a minute. I was waiting with blocking it because I wanted to block it all together, but I did wear it a lot, and it gave me a lot of love and heart jumping moments at the time I needed the most. I was feeling very... it was only a few days. I wasn't feeling all the time very bad, but a few days I was feeling very uncomfortable. Yeah. So the Syli cardigan, it is quite big. I did knit the smallest size, extra, I'm sorry, extra small. And still it's a little bit oversized, especially the sleeves. They are a little bit wider than I normally have. I really love fitted sleeves, but it was meant to be because I really need this cardigan as a throw over cardigan. Throw over what you are already wearing cardigan. I don't really have that today. There's no woolly layer under it, but there is some room for an extra woolly layer under it. It is not very cold in the Netherlands. Not as cold as it can be in other countries, but it is winter here and we don't let it be too warm in our living room during the day. We don't use the heating quite often. We use the fire stove, but only the fireplace, but only in the evening. So during the day it can be quite cold, and most of the time I'm the only person at home, so I'm the only person yeah, it doesn't bother me. It does bother my family members, but it doesn't bother me. But I can use an extra warm woolly layer because when you sit and knit, when you're busy, you are warm anyway. But when you sit and knit, then it can be quite cold. So I wanted to make a cardigan that's hanging over the chair as other cardigans do at the moment, and every family member who needs an extra cardigan, not my husband and son, they won't fit in it, but the girls and I, we can throw it over our outfit for an extra warm woolly layer. So it's a little bit on the white side, but I love it. I love the look of it, and I'm wearing it with a belt right now, and that's interesting because I have this open fronted cardigan and I already have another one, which is my Sunday cardigan. It's a petite knit pattern and I also make that version longer. So I really love to have a longer cardigan, a longer open fronted cardigan in my wardrobe, and I could use another one. But this one is a little bit wider, and in the pattern you can also find the description for a knitted belt. And in the beginning I thought, oh, I don't need a knitted belt, but these days I go walking without, I actually go walking in the same outfit I'm wearing inside as I also wear it outside. I don't really love to wear a jacket or a coat, only when it's really cold or wet. Most of the time, and when I'm active, I get warm quite quickly, so I don't need a coat, and wool is very good in regulating your temperature, so I don't need a coat. So quite often I only add my balaclava. It's really one of my most favorite knits of the winter this year. I wear it every day, and a big shawl and my mittens or fingerless mittens, and that's enough for me. But the negative side of an open fronted cardigan is that this part is not covered, and when it's windy or really cold you want to have that covered too. And I have some button cardigans, but they are all shorter, so I thought I had some yarn left. Oh yeah, let me start with saying that, because that was the main reason why I picked the pattern. I started knitting top down, and when I separated the sleeves, you increase with the raglan stitch, and when I was a little bit over there, I've started to finish the sleeves because I wanted to be sure I had enough yarn for that. I was quite sure I did have enough yarn for the whole cardigan, but not really sure. So I finished the sleeve first, and I make them a little bit longer because I love it, and I can fold the border back if I want to, but most of the time I love to have it a little bit longer over my hands. And when the sleeves were finished, I could just knit the body back and forth as long as I wanted, or as long as I had yarn. But I didn't run out of yarn, so I could make it as long as I wanted. And then I made, I don't know if you can see it, a 1x1 rib. You hardly can see the difference. And I bound off, and I had yarn left for the belt, so I decided to knit a belt, and I cast it on. It's double knitted and it's very easy to do, but also again boring. So I cast it on a DPN, and I don't know if that's in other countries too, but in the Netherlands you have New Year's Day, but the last day of the year we called we call Oudjaarsdag, so it's Old Year's Day. I don't really hear that often in English speaking countries, I guess. But on Old Year's Day we have the tradition. My father, he comes to make those oliebollen, and the translation is oil balls. I don't know, is that a thing in other countries? I don't know if that's typical Dutch. Oliebol. It's when I search on Google Translate, it says fruit donut, but it's not. That's not what I mean, I guess. So it's a dough ball, and you put it in the oil, and there are some raisins in and some other stuff, and yeah, it's really, you eat it with a little bit of sugar, that very thin sugar. In Dutch we call it poedersuiker, so powder sugar. We also eat that on pancakes. Now, doesn't matter, as long as I live, my father bakes those oil balls on Old Year's Day, and since a few years, my parents come over to our house, and they do it here, and all other family and friends, they will come and join, and we all enjoy the oil balls. My father is doing it in the barn. We have a very little barn, but I think barn is the good word. It's just a very cozy and nice day. And I was still ill that day, but not so ill that we had to cancel it. So I was doing very slow, and I was sit and knit, and my mom was there too, and she brought her crochet project, I guess. And then I told her, oh, I have something for you if you want to, and I gave her my belt. And you can see I only knitted this part, and then my mom started to knit. She is I'm a looser knitter. She knits a little bit tighter, but it was okay. So she was knitting and knitting all day, and then when they did go home, I said, you can bring it with you if you want to, because I didn't want to finish that boring job, but I needed the belt. And she said, oh, that's okay. So she did, and she brought it with me. It is double knitted, and it's very lovely and steady, and I'm very happy I have it. Today is actually the first day I wear it with the belt, because I did block it last Friday and it was drying, and yeah, it holds up my cardigan a little bit more together. I must say, it gives me a little bit of, I don't know how you call that garment, but in the Netherlands we call it, yeah, we say morning jacket or duster. It's a special jacket you can put over your pajamas when you wake up. I don't actually have, I do have one for the times that I visit the sauna, but I don't wear it at home, but it gives me that feeling, I think because of the belt and this, and it gives me a little bit of a relaxed feeling, and that's okay. It gives me a little bit of a relaxed and lazy energy. And I already noticed that that's not always the energy which is good for me. So I think this will be a cardigan in which I can relax and feel lazy, but maybe it's not the best cardigan to wear when I want to be active. So I'm not quite sure, we shall see. I can also imagine this is a very nice cardigan to have in the camper van. We have the camper van right now, and we didn't we made some short trips. We did plan some trips in the Christmas holiday, but because I was ill, we couldn't do it. But we didn't sleep in it yet because it's a little bit cold, and I was ill. But I can imagine when we will camp and it will be cold in the early spring or maybe in autumn, this will be the perfect camper van cardigan too. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. I can absolutely recommend the pattern. I didn't follow it exactly because of the broken rib stitch, and I think I did a little bit the arm decreases I did a little bit different. But yeah, it's a very clear pattern, and I can see myself making another one with the broken rib stitch, but then in a solid color. So the broken rib stitch is really a nice detail. Maybe I will do that once, but for now I'm happy with this one. It is really, yeah, exactly what I needed extra in my wardrobe. Yeah, So I finished it on Christmas Day, and then I got ill, and the first days I could hardly knit. And then I spent a lot of time knitting on my scrappy shawl. I don't have it with me. I will show it another time because otherwise I would have too much to show. But it was really, my scrappy shawl is a DK weight scrappy tube shawl, just knitting it around, knitting straight. And it's a very easy knit, and that was the only thing I could do. In the beginning only 5 minutes, and then 10 minutes, and then 20 minutes. And at the end I could knit it for hours, but only that because I had no brain space for other projects. And it was a boring knit, but because there was so much happening color wise, it made me very happy, and it was exactly what I needed. But after a few days, I was so done with it. I thought when I did knit my magic yarn balls away, I will feel better. But then I found 2 big magic yarn balls in my fingering weight stash, and it was very depressing. That I thought, oh no, do I have to knit those away too before I feel better? And yeah, I really didn't want that. And I was not. Yeah, when you are not feeling well, normally I'm quite positive, but at a few days we had all the plans for the holidays, and I got a bit down. I was just laying and doing nothing and getting bored, and then I thought, okay, I need a hard jumping project on my needles, which will be a bit uplifting for me. So I thought, what do I need? And I decided I needed a colorwork project, but colorwork is not hard for me to knit. My brain was still influenced by the flu, so I couldn't do for example, my Bubblicious sweater, it is right here. I definitely couldn't knit on that one. It took too much brain space, and it's not really complicated, but too complicated for that moment. I did pick it up at the moment, but I will share more about that next week. But the project I casted on was a small project. Yeah, it's a bit too big for this vintage hat. But I decided to knit a colorwork hat. This is the Sacred Sheep hat from Caitlin Hunter, a pattern by Boyland Knitworks. I was just searching in my library, and I did buy this pattern last December. No, December 2023. And not with specific plans, just because I love the pattern. And I decided to search in my yarn stash for some DK weight leftovers. I have a lot of DK weight leftovers, and I found some lovely colors. With this color I made my lauder vest, a pattern by the Crea Bea. And I also had, this is Ulrika Natur. I think you pronounce it like that. I also have some, the greenish, the yellow greenish is also Ulrika Natur. It's from Sveta Faret. And the dark color, the charcoal, is Peer Gynt. It's a leftover from my husband's cardigan. And I really love the color combination. And the Sacred Sheep hat, it's actually a pattern with a lot of possibilities. I love that. You can find the descriptions for making the hat in fingering weight, DK weight or worsted weight in several sizes, and also there are different options for the brim. You have a single short brim, you have a middle brim which you can fold once, that's this one, that is this one, I said it correctly. You also have a double folded brim, so it's a little bit longer, so you can fold it double twice, so it's an extra warm woolly layer around your ears. And then also the head, I have the DK weight, and I think I picked size 8. I found it quite hard to pick the right size. I don't knit a lot of hats, so I just, and especially because the color work is different than a knit one purl one hat, but I decided it was not, the hat was not meant for a person. I just wanted to knit a hat. It was really a process knit. So I decided to pick that size. And then there are also different options. You can find 3 charts in the pattern for the length of the head. You have a small, I think it's called short, medium and long crown. And I also had no idea what would be working out, what would work out the best for me. So I decided to go for the middle size. I think it's a little bit wider than I need and also a little bit longer than I need. I had this head fitted on several family members and it was all too big for them. I don't know. So I don't know. I really love this part. It is okay. I can put it on my head. I told before that I'm not a head person. That's why I really love my balaclava. I have curls my hair. My curls don't like heads because heads make your curls flat and we don't love that. And also it is not, I don't have a cold head. Quickly, I have a lot of hair, but you can see it's not my thing. But still, because it's a little bit on the wide side, and also I can imagine that a head needs to be quite snug around your head, that it's nice and warm and cozy and it stays good. But because it's quite long and a little bit on the wide side, for me it's good. So I think maybe it is my head. It will be my head. Although I don't really need a head, only on really, really cold days, and we don't have them a lot. But if it's a really cold day, I have a head. And the other thing is, catched in this head is the heart jumping feeling. I was not feeling well. I asked myself, what do you need? And the answer was this head. And knitting it gave me a heart jumping feeling, but also following your needs was heart jumping. Do you know what I understand? So it's heart jumping in several ways. And maybe it's better for me to keep. I don't want to give it away because it reminds me of how important it is to follow your own needs. So even if you don't need it, you don't need a head, but you need the heart jumping knitting and you need just to follow your needs. So yeah. Sacred Sheep head, lovely pattern, also absolutely recommend. I definitely see myself making another one in different colors, and I would size down a little bit. You can find all the information on my Ravelry project page. I will link it down below. I had another finished object, this one too, and this one will come later, but this was also definitely a process knit. This is my Wacky leftover jumper, and I showed it before when it was a work in progress still, but it's now finished. All the yarn ends are woven in. Or do you say woven in? No yarn ends anymore. This is a free pattern on Ravelry from Kate. I always forget her name, I'm sorry, but I will insert the information. And it's a very easy bulky weight sweater. And it's called the Wacky Leftovers jumper, and it really allowed me to knit away a lot of leftovers. And it's just a boxy sweater, and you knit straight. It's a bottom-up sweater, so you cast on the ribbing and then you knit. I knitted 5 round stripes, holding DK weight yarn double, and that was really it was really very satisfying to knit away all the DK weight yarn ends. And also knitting stripes was very motivating. I love knitting stripes. I don't really, it's not that I really am a stripy person, that I really love it, but knitting stripes, it's really good. When you are struggling with your self-discipline to finish things, knit stripes or crochet stripes. Because knitting to or crocheting to the next stripe, yeah, that works really good. So I did finish it, and this sweater, I casted this on in August 2024, and it was really a process knit again. I really needed it during the months, especially around the Knit to Purl to festival I organized in November last year. It was a very busy time. My head was very busy, my agenda was very busy. and I couldn't knit on challenging projects anymore, but just knitting away the stripes, knitting it around mainly, just knit, 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 and the exciting part was the color. Because the colors were changing every 5 rounds, it didn't get boring, and it was just what I needed. I didn't really knit this sweater for a specific person. I thought it might be good for my eldest girl, but she thinks it's not big enough. She loves to have the sweaters a little bit more oversized. She loves the look of it, but not the fit. I actually love the fit myself. Surprisingly, more than I didn't really thought about it, but I love the fit. In my last episode, the half of December, I shared some thoughts about my round yoke problem. I deep dived into it a little bit, and I will come back to it later. I want to thank you if you shared your own thoughts or experiences or suggestions. Thank you a lot. I did some research, and don't take the word research too serious, but it was interesting, and I will share more about it later, but I don't have anything on my needles right now, because when I was not feeling well, it was not a moment to work on those kinds of projects. But this is a high neckline too, but this is a dropped shoulder construction, and when I was fitting this sweater, I realized I don't mind the high neckline on the dropped shoulder construction, and I always thought that I don't like high necklines. But then I realized maybe I don't like high necklines on round yoke sweaters, but I do like them on dropped shoulder sweaters. So I'm doing some research for myself to understand what's fitting me and my body and my shoulder shaping. But I will come back to that on later. At the moment I'm watching things on YouTube to learn more, and I did some calculations to learn more, but I'm not at the point that I really can say something interesting about it, especially because I'm not knitting a garment for myself at the moment. So yeah, but it will come later. So really lovely sweater. I don't feel the need to give it to someone. Maybe it is, I think, I didn't try, but I think it will look good on me when I'm wearing jeans. Only I'm hardly ever wearing jeans, but it's not matching with my skirts and dresses, but on my flared jeans it will be okay. So maybe I will start wearing it one day, maybe not, but again, this was a process knit, and together with the head, and also at the end of the year I finished a crochet blanket. It's quite new for me. I would always describe myself as a product knitter with the main focus at the end result. Just wear that sweater, use that blanket, put on those socks, and the heart jumping feeling of a finished project really keeps me motivated during knitting or crocheting, during working on it. But my wardrobe is quite big. I knitted a lot of garments for myself, and there is some space now for every now and then to follow my process need. And sometimes I just need a knit or crochet project, not for wearing it, not for the end result, but just for working on it and enjoying every stitch. And of course I enjoy knitting or crocheting product focused projects too, but yeah, I don't know, it's just nice to have those projects without any other goals and also no time pressure. When I really want to wear a sweater, it also feels different, and yeah, it's really new for me, but I love it. So I just keep it here because there's a lot of yeah, there's a lot of positivity catched in the pile of process knits, because just as I said, create some time to just knit what you really want or crochet what you really want without any thoughts or goals or whatever. Just knit it because you want to make it. So I will keep it all together, and maybe one day I will give it away or start wearing it myself. I don't know, but until then it's just inspiring me to follow that process, making sparkle too. Okay, another finished object, the last one. Oh no, not the last one. Okay, quick one. Are my birthday socks. Those socks I casted on my birthday. It was in November 23. No, you have your birthday every year. It was in November 2024, and I received the kids gifted me a yarn ball, a sock yarn ball. It was from Anel. I don't have the label with me, but it was just a superwash commercial sock yarn from my local yarn shop, and it was heart jumping that one of the kids went to the yarn shop to pick a nice yarn ball for me, and she really thought that I would love the color, and I did. But I had no idea how the yarn ball would knit up, and she didn't too, because when I was knitting it, it was quite surprisingly, and I cast it on immediately while we were having my birthday breakfast. That was a nice thing, because I don't know how it is for you, but it is sometimes extra special to cast on a project on a special day. I will come back to that with that sweater, but quite often I don't do that. When I receive something on a special day, for example my birthday, I thought, oh, this is my birthday. Maybe I can give another example. I have a sock yarn ball which I bought in Germany when we were there for a holiday, but it is 5 years ago in February, and it was really, for me, it was a heart jumping moment, because I found it in the supermarket. It was from Regia, I think you say Regia. It was sock yarn in the supermarket. We don't have that in the Netherlands, so we were doing our groceries in the supermarket, and I found all the sock yarn, and I thought I need that, so I bought that yarn ball, and we had a lovely week with the family, but I never knitted anything with it. It's still laying there, and it would have been better if I would have cast it on immediately when we were in Germany. And so I thought, with this birthday yarn, I thought, let's cast it on immediately. But I noticed that I started at the stripy part. I had no idea the yarn was self-striping. I couldn't see it on the label. And when I was knitting, I actually regret that I didn't skip this part and for making a plain toe, because there's a lot of beautiful brown, and then there are the greenish and the grayish stripes, and then there's a lot of brown. So I was doubting about restarting the sock, but then I realized that I would rip out the moment, the birthday breakfast moment. And I thought, what is more important, the perfect sock with the perfect toe, or the perfect moment catched into the sock? And of course I choose the last, or of course I did choose the last option. And I thought, okay, those tiny stripes, those imperfect tiny stripes, remind me of that lovely moment together with my family. I just decided to let it happen. I must confess, those socks are not the most beautiful socks I own, but there is a lot of love catched into them. I did knit the heels and the cuffs with another yarn. It's Ling Yarn Wool. I hold it together with the reinforcement yarn, which came with those canes. There is always, I don't know if, oh no, not in this one, but into the skeins there is hidden a little piece of reinforcement yarn, and I didn't have enough of the right colors, so it's just, you can see, I don't know which one, this one? No, this one. The bottom part of the sock, of the heel, is a little bit more marled than the upper part, but it's okay, it's absolutely fine. And I have a nice new pair of socks I can wear. Another finished object, the hard jumping one, is that one. Look at this. It is the the Festive Yoke pullover from Ellie from Skeindeer Knits, and it is a kids version. It is for my little niece. She is 3 years old and she will turn 4 in March. And this is my New Year's cast on. As I said, you have special cast on moments on special days, and I know a lot of people have Christmas Eve cast on, New Year's cast on, birthday cast ons, holiday cast ons, and most of the time I don't really do that. But since a few years, this is the third year I guess, I cast on a white knitting project on New Year's Day, and this is of course I started with the white. It's not really white, it's a little bit of off-white, and it's really yeah, I really love that to do on January 1st, because it's the first day of a whole new year, which is still empty. All the things can happen as a white page in a book. So yeah, that's really lovely. I must confess, I planned to knit this sweater earlier in winter, but I didn't have the time for it. And I did finish it quite quickly, within a little bit more than a week. And that was it was really the perfect knitting project for me, because I was recovering from the flu. It was quite heavy. I'm not ill quite often, but every now and then, once in the 5 years or something, I got the flu, and I always think it's an update of my immune system, but you are feeling a few days very bad, and then it took 2 or maybe 3 weeks to recover. So I had a lot of rest and a lot of knitting time. So but my brain was not fresh and fruity. It was not working the way I'm used to. So I made all the clumsy mistakes, and yeah, I don't know. So I decided this project would be perfect to have, because again, it is color work. And color work is not hard to knit, especially this color work, because it's very repetitive and quite easy, but it's also not boring, because you change the colors all the time, and every round you have to knit something different, so that makes it a lot of fun. The Festive Yoke pullover is actually a recipe for a Christmas sweater from a few years ago. It's from Ellie from Skeindeer Knits, and she has 3 versions of the pattern: the Festive Yoke pullover for adults, and the Festive Yoke cardigan for adults, and a child's version of the pullover. I have all 3 patterns. I made 2 Festive Yoke pullovers for myself. One really as a festive yoke with all the different charts. The pattern comes with, I think, 15 tiny charts, and you can choose how you want to divide them over your sweater. You can only do the yoke, you can do a specific chart every row. Yeah, but you can do all the things. So the first one I did different charts every part, and it was a lot of fun. And then one of my Dutch knitting friends, she did knit a heart sweater with all the hearts, like this one, but then only in 2 colors, a main color and a contrast color. And she really inspired me to just pick one chart and repeat that. So my second Christmas sweater was the green. I think, no, I'm quite sure I did wear it in my last episode. Green with white, very Christmassy. And I chose a Christmas flower, a winter flower, and it really gave me a heart jumping feeling. I really love the look of it. Not really the fit of the round yoke, but that's another chapter. But the look of it. And I decided quite a while ago I want to make a heart jumping sweater for my little niece. And it's actually, yeah, it turned out really lovely. It makes me so happy. See. She doesn't have no. Okay, I want to cut this out right now, but I don't want to edit the clumsy parts too much, because I'm not an English speaker. I know you don't mind, but my Miss Perfect, she's checking in every now and then, and especially the editing part, but it's very time consuming to edit all the clumsy parts out, and it's okay when you see that I'm clumsy, because it doesn't make sense to pretend I'm not. So, and when I don't have to edit all the clumsy parts out, I have much more knitting time. So I love to do that more. But Miss Perfect is on my shoulder every now and then, screaming in my hour, "Put it out! Put the camera out! Stop, stop, stop!" And she was there too. I haven't shown it to my little niece. I did show it to her mother, my sister, and she really loved it. But 3-year-old girls can be very critical, so I am really excited how she will think about this sweater and how the fit will be, of course. It looks quite big. I knitted the 4-year-old size. I hope she can wear it this winter and next winter. I must confess, knitting an all-over colorwork jumper for a toddler, it is quite time consuming. But when I was doubting about knitting only the yoke, but it was a too hard repeat, and I didn't like the only the 2 repeats. Maybe when it would have been 3 repeats, it was okay. In some way, an odd number makes more sense than an even number for the yoke. And then I decided, okay, even if she doesn't want to wear it, she doesn't like it, or the fit is not good, I really enjoy making it. So that's enough to spend time on it. I did use superwash yarn for it. The main color is a sport weight commercial yarn I bought when we were on holiday in the Netherlands on a place which is closed right now, and it was not really a yarn shop. This yarn is Schochenmeier. It's called No Motta. I'm a mott owner, so I love the name of No Motta. I don't know if it means that, but it is 100% superwash wool, and I combined it with long yarn wool. I have a lot of my basket is quite messy right now. I didn't organize it after finishing the jumper. I finished it yesterday morning because I really wanted to show it today, and then I can bring it to my sister so she can start wearing it before it will be too warm for it. And when I wouldn't finish it yesterday, I would have wait another week, and we don't have so much time. Time's flying, even in 2025. So I have a lot of skeins of long yarn wool, and those were all gifted to me. I did work a few years ago for Long Yarns. I did do their social media for the Netherlands, and yeah, I could keep all the yarn, so that was very generous. But it is a sock yarn, but I don't really love to knit socks with it. It is a little bit thinner than it's a thin, a light fingering weight, and I am a loose knitter, so it looks a bit messy when I'm just knitting socks as I normally do. But I did knit a sweater for my little niece before, holding it double, a Monday sweater from Petite Knit. And that really feels good. So I love the idea of that. And I thought, okay, I think it will work out if I combine 2 light fingering weight yarns together with a sport weight yarn. I didn't swatch. I just hoped it would work out, and it did. And for the brown part, I did use some Holst Coast. It's also light fingering weight yarn. It is merino with cotton, and I just wanted to have some brown between all the sweetness of the colors. It's quite colorful, but I think it's perfect for a little girl. And I'm very happy how the sweater did look out, because yeah, color work can look very puckering and messy and wobbly bobbly, and the sweater was doing that too. And just put it in the water with some wool wash for a few hours and spin cycle it and dry it flat. It just does a lot of good to your knitting. So yeah, it really feels good and nice, and I'm really happy with it. Let me see. Oh, the one thing I'm not really happy with it is the neckband. As you can see, it's wonky. The stitches are not straight anymore because it doesn't line up good. I knitted a double folded neckband. That's not what the pattern says, but I just knit the double length, and normally I knit it together. When I have the right length, I fold it double and then I pick up stitches and knit, so it's connected and it has the perfect amount of stretchiness. But when I was at that point, again, I was not feeling well enough yet to do complicated things, and it is not really complicated to do, but it needs some attention and focus, and I didn't have that enough, so I decided I will do that later. So later I folded double and did sew it down, but I did sew it too tight, so there was not enough stretch, and I had my doubts if her head would fit, and it was not feeling nice, so I did unravel it. And then yesterday I needed to weave in all the yarn ends, because all the colors, all the yarn, there were quite some yarn ends, and then I decided to do a crochet slip stitch bind off. I didn't weave in the yarn ends yet because I was not sure if Miss Perfect was okay with the end result. It is looking, yeah, I did it I had a knitting event yesterday and I was a bit in a hurry, so I didn't have the time to line it up perfectly, and I just did it quick so I could put it in the blocking bath, and it is a little bit wonky, but I think I will leave it this way because it's a child sweater. I don't think anyone will care. So I think we will leave it. And next time I will never sew it down ever again. I will just do it knitwise because I love doing that much more. And it's always, I really love it when it's lined up perfectly. And yeah, so I will do that later. I also did a little bit of a modification in the sleeves. As you can see, they are quite balloony. I didn't do the decreases during the sleeve, but I saved them all for the last round before the ribbing. And I always use a knitting calculator. I think it's from World of Knits. I will link it down below, and if I forget it, please remember me, ask me in the comments. I will add it afterwards, but I think I needed to go from 60 stitches to 36, and you can just let the calculator do all the calculating work. And of course you can calculate it by your own too, but I don't love doing that, and it's really time saving because the calculator gives you a schedule how to calculate, so your decreases are divided evenly. So that worked out pretty good. I also did some decreases in the last round before the ribbing at the body. That's not what the pattern tells you to do, but I am always, yeah, you are knitting the ribbing on a smaller needle and it makes, yeah, this shape, it's okay, but sometimes my sweaters are flaring out, so sometimes I forget, but I always try to decrease in the last round before I start the ribbing, and I always do, doesn't matter which yarn weight, I always do every 10th stitch I knit together. 10 is my favorite number. I know it doesn't make sense, but it always works out. So not everything has to make sense to work out, I guess. So yeah, really lovely. It was a very fun thing to do, and yeah, I'm really happy with the end result. It's very colorful, very lovely. I think it will be a little bit of a sweater dress. I doubted between size 4 and size 6, but the only difference was the length of the sleeves and the length of the body. And I think it's good already. So yeah, we shall see. I hope she will like it. Then, oh, this is also quite a fun thing. This is a hat. I had my Christmas gift knits, and I was a little bit searching, I am a little bit searching to a nice way of organizing my gift knitting. I decided last year that every knitter or crocheter, no, not everyone, some people are very organized, but a lot of knitters and crocheters I think you have the same experience as I have every year. At the end of November you think, oh, I want to make all my loved ones all the beautiful things, but then you ran out of time. And I wanted to provide that, so I decided, let me start knitting a basket filled with gift knits. And I will knit all the socks and all the hats, not for specific persons, but just what I like, what I want to knit away. And then in December I can decide what will be for who. But in December I didn't fill my gift knit basket as much as I planned. But I had 6 projects, 6 things, 2 hats and 4 pairs of socks. I wasn't really happy with it. I was not really... I regret that I didn't knit something specific for each person. I was doubting, shall I give it or not? But I was also doubting, what will I do with it anyway? And at the end, I didn't have the time for knitting new things. So I thought, okay, just make it. And I knitted all the afterthought heels. I was not very happy with it because 3 of my 4 pairs of socks did turn out too big, so I didn't really do the good measurements, I guess. But it's all good, so it's okay. They were all very happy with their gift knits, so I was happy. I gifted it anyway. There was one thing, one hat I gave to my husband, and actually my husband is not really knit worthy, although I guess he is not really. He doesn't like wool. He thinks it's itchy. He's complaining about it. He's very sensitive about the itchiness of wool, and he's a fleece lover. I don't love fleece. So I had the hat for him, but I thought he doesn't want to wear it anyway because he prefers his fleeced ones. And I thought, but it's also not nice to not give him anything, so I decided to just give him the hat. And I'm very happy I did, because of all the gift knits, this was the best one. He is so happy with it. He's wearing it all the time, and it was really a surprise for me, actually. He loved the color, he loved the feeling of the yarn. This is knitted in a Wool Addict yarn. It's also gifted to me by Long Yarns, and it's a merino yarn. I don't know exactly. It's a merino with a synthetic fiber, I guess. I'm not, it's a superwash yarn. I'm not really a fan of it. It's stretching out, and it is the classic ribbed hat by Purl Soho. I really love that pattern. It's a free pattern, and it's just 1 by 1 rib as long as you want to, and then you have the crown decreases, and yeah, it's just a very easy peasy hat, and you can just knit it away and knit your leftovers away, and it's nice and fun. Yeah, so he was really happy, and the fun thing is my happy man, my happy husband, he likes to have, when he has a sweater or a blouse or whatever, he wants, when he loves the fit, he wants to have it in a big amount of colors. So he has all the colors and all the things, but the same model. So he asked me, can I have another one? Because I really love it. And I was so surprised, but it was hard jumping for me, of course, because I want to knit for my husband. So when we were in the city town, we visited my local yarn shop, and he picked another color. I didn't want to buy that yarn because, yeah, I don't know, it's not the best quality in my opinion. And I asked him if he wanted to try Knitting for Olive. I must confess, I only am knitting with Knitting for Olive for the first time at my Bubblicious sweater for my girl. So I don't know how it will hold up, but it's knitting very nice, and I really love the colors. There are a lot of beautiful colors in the collection of Knitting for Olive, and I love that I can buy it at my local yarn store. So he picked a new color, and it's actually looking very brown on camera, but in daylight it's more olive green. It's ochre brown, That's the color, and but he checked it in daylight and he really loved that color, so he wanted this one. So I will knit him another classic ribbed head, and I really hope the knitting for Olive will feel good on his head too, so then I can knit him all the heads in all the colors. The classic ribbed head is a perfect easy project which you can put in your bag for on the go. You're just knitting in the round, knit one, purl one all the time, and you have to have a little bit of attention when you are at the decreases, but it's not hard at all. So I really am looking forward to cast it on. I must confess, I felt the need to cast it on immediately, but with the new year, I also had some plans for the new year. How do you call it? In Dutch we call it goede voornemens. There is also an English term for it. I know it. Good intentions. Intentions for the new year. I really love to make intentions, not only when the new year starts. I love to do that every new day, every new week, every new month. Doesn't matter, but it's a good new starting point. I have some crafting intentions, knitting and crochet wise. One of the things I quite often do is impulsive casting on. And do you hear that? That's a bird walking on the roof. Impulsive casting on, and I mean, I have a long list with all the things I want to knit. I have a full library with all the patterns on Ravelry I once bought, and I never have knit or crochet still. And although I have that long list, I'm quite often knitting on new things, because I have seen them on Instagram or on YouTube, and I'm just casting on that pattern, or I'm doing a test knit, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I want to be a little bit more conscious of what I put on my needles. I want to be more balanced. For example, I really love knitting colorwork, but I hardly knitted anything with colorwork last year. What I did now, I made a schedule on my laptop, so I can see it on my laptop and on my phone. I was doubting about writing it in my knitting book, but I want to have it with me, and when it's digital I can add information quite easily, more than when it's on paper. And I want to create a weekly routine, a little checkup on my projects. I love to have several projects on my needles, and I always have the, how do you say it? I don't have forgotten projects. I love to have several, but not so many that I can't keep track on them. I have my Ravelry page, but I also keep them on several places, and there are no forgotten projects. Everything is, moving on every now and then. Not every project every day, but it's okay for that. I have the overview. I think that's what I want to say. The problem is that I have specific needs for crafting, and I made a list of needs. What kind of projects do I need on my needles? So for example, I need a colorwork project on my needle, I need an easy project on my needle, I need a project that I can bring with me when I'm going outside, when I'm for car driving, or for when I'm visiting someone. I need a scrappy project, I need a project with a little bit of challenge where I can learn new things, I need a project where I can put a little bit of Sarah sauce over it, I need a crochet project, there are, I need a project for someone else, so gift knitting or a sweater for my niece, or I need a project for myself. So I made a schedule with all the kinds of projects I need in my crafting life, and then I put all the projects in the right place. And some projects fit in more places. So my scrappy shawl is a scrappy project, but also an easy project. My anchor shawl is a perfect project for on the go, but also an easy project. So I put all the projects in the right place. And then I had some empty spots, which I don't have projects on my needles for colorwork, for example, right now. Also another Sarah-Sauce project. So there are some empty spots. And then I realized I don't want empty spots. I want all the spots filled, because when all the spots are filled, I am balanced. And that doesn't mean that I need to work on all those projects every day, but they are on my needles. They are not only happening in my head, they are actually on my needles. So I decided, I planned in my agenda tomorrow that I will cast on a colorwork project, and I will cast on a Sarah-Sauce project. So I checked my library, I checked my knitting list, what do I want to make, and what fits in the amount of projects, what do I need a big project or a small project, and I picked 2 projects, and I will share more about that next week when they are actually on my needles. But I was really overthinking it, and that felt really good. There's nothing wrong with doing things impulsive, but I have done that for quite a long time right now. We are grown up right now, and it doesn't have to do anything with grown up, or it's just you can play too. But for example, if I didn't have the schedule, I would have cast on this classic ribbed hat, and my time would go to the classic ribbed hat. But I would spend a lot of time knitting easy things, and there's nothing wrong with that, but there would be a part of my knitting needs which was not satisfied, because I also need challenge. And when you are only doing the easy things and you are not doing anything challenging because it's so busy on your needles with easy things, then you are out of balance. So what I want is, I think, the same amount of projects but more spread about by needs. Yeah, so I'm not really sure how long. Sometimes I only do this for 3 weeks. It is my plan to check in every Monday, or now maybe Monday is not the best day, but every week, to see how the balance is, and then decide, do I have to frog something, do I have to cast on something, do I have to make some changes. It is a bit more of conscious, and still there is a little bit of room for impulsive things, but I'm not doing any social media at the moment. I am watching YouTube videos, but more technical things, so I'm not feeling influenced, and that gives me the rest. I also miss it every now and then, but it gives me, for now, no, I don't really miss it, I guess. I miss sharing it on Instagram. I miss sharing every now and then. Also not really. It gives, it saves a lot of time, and it makes my own needs more clear than being influenced by the lovely, beautiful things other people make. I miss enjoying the lovely, beautiful things other people make, but I really love to have more space to decide what I want to make from out of me instead of out of the outside. Okay, so some musing. Yeah. So next week I want to share a lot of the projects, all of the projects. I have a new cast on, which is not crochet and not knitting, but it is handmade, and it's really hard jumping. But I will tell you more about it next week, because otherwise I'm quite late already. Yeah, so I will do all the works in progress next week, and I will share my my new cast-ons and all the things. Yeah. This was it for today. I really want to thank you for watching. It is a heart jumping moment for me, as always. I really missed the Monday episodes. I do make episodes on Friday too. It is a membership part. You have to pay for it. You can find all the information down below. I'm making vlog style videos at the moment. Since I quit share my crafty adventures on Instagram, I really love to film every now and then during the day. So the Heart Jumping Friday videos on Friday are a little bit of a vlog style. I show you my crafty adventures. I deep dive into some things. You can answer me all the questions about your own knitting or crochet, about my knitting or crochet, about knitting and crochet in general. I really love to chat about it. So if you are interested, you can find the information down below. And if you're not, that's also perfectly fine. Then I hope this video was a heart jumping moment for you. And it was for me. So thank you for being here. I hope to see you next week. I wish you a very nice and good week filled with a lot of heart jumping moments. If you can't find them, create them. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.